What's up, everyone? I'm here with Jeff DiCarlo, Business Breakthrough. What's up, my man? Welcome.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in the business, man. We'd love to hear a little bit about what you do, how you do it, what's working well, and then what's an area of improvement.
Yeah, man. So really just getting started full time. Quick background here. I have a property development. We redevelop properties, basically a flipping company. I don't like that term, but yeah, I've been doing that for the last 12 years. We take houses, got them fully rebuild them, higher end for our area. I'm located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and everything was going good. Then COVID hit. We had a couple $1 million in houses, couldn't sell them, couldn't work on them. And kind of came to a halt. Long story short of that is, while doing that, I managed all my own projects. We were just having a hard time finding painters, man, that were reliable, did a good job, didn't cost $1 million. So we just started doing it ourselves, and started doing it. Actually, enjoy it. A lot of people always said they didn't like it, but we'd then go to sell our houses, and realtors would say, "Oh, would you mind sharing your painter? It looks great." And at that time, we said we did it ourselves. Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not doing work for anyone else. And then again, everything kind of came to a halt after that. And then we did start taking on some contracting work. And between that and painting, I'm like, man, painting is just so much easier of a business. You don't have to bring trailers full of tools. You don't need high-end skilled carpenters to do it. And then kind of focused, on that in that direction. I have one last project that's actually where I'm at here, just in a corner, but it's just really drained all my time, my resources. And so once this is finished, just going, full speed on the painting business. Have been doing
Okay.
some painting jobs,
Gotcha.
registered new name company, want to go from there. So really getting started technically, and that's just kind of why I reached out. Just overall, maybe what you do different, trying to put some systems, low cost marketing until I sell this, house there to be able to really invest full time.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, what is your plan? I mean, how do you what is your end goal? Do you want to scale it to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million? What's your goal, man?
All the
What do
above,
you think?
man. All the
Okay. So
above.
you want to
I
grow
want
it. You
to,
want to be a conglomerate in the
yeah,
market.
absolutely. Yeah. And I saw your other one with your buddy here too in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
I think he changed his
Skylar.
name now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now
That's
he's
a good buddy of mine.
Dinos. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know
And I
painting.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just changed it, right? Recently.
Yes.
But been seeing the signs and everything around here. And yeah, man. So want to go, full steam and do it full time and really grow it and scale it. I have subcontractors already that I work with. I'm used to managing projects from managing millions of dollar projects that we have. Sales kind of comes second nature. Sold Toyotas myself. Went to college 4 years, came out, told my parents I'm going to sell cars. They weren't pumped at first, but I was 21 years old, probably made $1,500 my first week. I'm like, I'm rich. And it's a good background. You learn a lot, but it's a hard grind. And that was in the early 2000s. Started doing internet sales, which the old sales guys were like, yeah, go play with your computer in that room. But really, so again, I enjoy sales. Project management is something that I've done for a long time, and just really looking to. Sorry, we're moving here. Go full time and yeah, scale it to 3 million, 4 million, 5, whatever possible. There,
Sure.
sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean, in anything, like any business, you want consistency in the front end and the back end, man. The front end, of course, is, we got to get those leads, man. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, man, we got to figure out how people could choose you over some of the other companies, but at least give you a shot to even do that sale, right? So, let's talk about what your marketing strategy is. What do you got planned, or what do you got in the works?
Well, and that's kind of even one of the reasons. Sorry, you're trying to get this straight. Reached out, for help. There is trying to get started. Really on a budget. I understand that it's going to cost money. Really have been diving deep into all your sessions, all your videos, all
Yeah,
the
appreciate
partners you
that.
guys work with, and yeah, man, it's awesome. And obviously some of the partners you work with and the results that they're getting with Facebook marketing. Like I said, sales. Project management is something I'm good at, but marketing is
How
not, and
much money do
understand.
you plan to invest?
Well, again, I have a house here that's about $1 million. Not all my own, but a lot of my own money and time is tied up. So I'm kind of bootstrapping it at this time. Just filed the LLC, trying to get the website, and I understand that, I always kind of laughed at the guys in my business that were like, oh, I got a perfect website and business cards. And I'm like, man, just do it. You know what I mean? But in this case of trying to approach some of these higher end realtors that I've worked with, I think it does need a little bit of credibility of having some of that stuff. But once I sell this house, I mean, just going all in and
Yeah.
investing what it takes
So
and what it
right now,
needs.
like, what do you, like, do you have a dollar amount, like 1 to
I
5,000,
mean,
lower than, less than 5,000? Like, where are we at?
pretty much probably less than 5,000 at
Okay.
the exact moment
So,
just to try to get going.
well, the good news is, I mean, all you need is really one job in this
Right.
business to get started. That's the cool part. I mean, for me, I started with $600 and bought a sprayer, and that was a good investment, and then leveraged the deposit on the next job, and you're in business. Like, that's the cool part. So, I think it really has to do with number one, like, what's your plan to get the work done? Are you going to be doing it to get started, or are you going to try to get?
Yeah. Well, I do have some guys that work for my other business that at the point now are kind of like, as needed that work for me on an hourly basis. I do have sprayers, I do have all the tools, I do have everything. So if need be, yes, I can and will do the work. I understand, from the way you guys teach and everything, that's not the way to scale and do a business. And
With a low cost, man, I would definitely suggest. Have you thought about door knocking?
yeah, yeah, I have, and I believe that's probably the best. Now it is again Pittsburgh. We've been running last week at like 10 degrees. So
Low cold.
yeah, today it's maybe like 20, but and that's even another way too. I started just kind of getting back into mountain biking and stuff, going around my neighborhood, and right in the fall there was another company, and I saw them get one job, then another. I'm like, man, I'm really missing out on this because
Well, I
yeah,
wouldn't focus too much on the website. The website's not going to matter. No one's going to see it. I mean, it's good to have. I wouldn't spend any money on it. Just whip something up real quick off of Wix.
okay,
And,
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, man, like, you got to pay to play now for anyone to see your website. The key here, man, really, I mean, leverage networking, leverage relationships. You can learn door knocking. That's pretty easy. I mean, Justin Georgopoulos, he's one of my speakers from Liftoff. He did a great training on that. He's got a school community, and I mean, at the end of the day, if you have low cost and you want to get some momentum, easiest way to do it is probably door knocking. Buying leads, I mean, is obviously my favorite. Spending money on marketing, but that might not be an option right now. I kind of want to know, like, what questions do you have, man? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here to help. So, what do you got?
yeah. I mean, I know you prefer the employee model over that. I think being here in Pittsburgh, I mean, that was some of the questions too: subs versus employees. I've had both doing my other business, and it's just that was one of the problems we ran into too during COVID, is just feeling the obligation, the responsibility to these guys that were loyal to me, to keep them busy, keep them working. And that is something that kind of does scare me in the sense to double down on that as well. But I think subs, you see a lot of guys that have successful, obviously yours is successful with employees. So I guess it's not really a question as much. And I think probably starting out subs is probably the best. But you don't hire many subs. I guess the question always is like, how do you approach these subs?
Yeah.
Is it something to how do you sell those guys on working
Yeah,
on your
man. At the
vision?
end of the day, I would argue that employees can sometimes be easier than subs because I'm good at putting teams together, right? So I can put together three painters that are probably going to work better than a random team of three painters that we just call subcontractors that I have no say over or haven't vetted properly or haven't done a background check on. I mean, it's a little extra effort. At the end of the day, you could go out and hire a painter for $20 an hour and actually make more money than you would if you brought in a sub crew right now. Like, if the goal for you is to make money right now, an employee is not that hard. An employee model is not that hard. There's so many painters, dude, that don't have work right now in Pittsburgh that would love to work for an hourly wage,
Yeah,
you know, because the same thing you're running into, right? So at the end of the day, man, like, and if you do want the sub model, that's great and all. I mean, I think it's awesome. If you can rally together the subs, you're just gonna run into different challenges, man. At the end
yeah,
of the day, you have no leverage. Like, I think sub crews want to work for the guy that has the work. So you might find yourself negotiating and losing negotiations in terms of how much they want for the job versus what you sold it for. Or maybe a customer wants a job done at a certain time, and the sub's like, yeah, I can't do it. I'm obligated to someone else during that time. That puts you, as a salesperson, like you are, last thing you want to do is have
Not
to tell your
fulfill.
customer no. So I think
Right.
when you look at the employee model, you have full control over the labor and the production.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess just even, some advice on what you would think, just sending, would it be a video out to maybe some realtors that I have names or list of? I mean, some of them I've
Dude,
only
realtors are
talked.
terrible referral partners.
Really?
Yes.
No, you don't like that?
I don't like. No, I mean, think about it for a second, right? If you're a realtor and you
Mhm.
have a client who wants to sell their home, are you going to refer your client to someone that you know is an expensive option, or are you going to say, "Hey, I have this guy that could probably paint it for 2K"?
Yeah, I guess that probably makes sense. They
They're
just want to
terrible. They're the
get it
worst
done.
on the front end and the back end, dude. Like honestly, like you unless you work with high end realtors that are selling maybe $1 million homes, like dude, you're not really going to be that choice because number one, it's less commission for the realtor, right? I mean, if
Right.
not really, but ultimately, the realtor doesn't want to look like they're costing their customer money. Does that make sense? Like
Right.
at the end of the
It
day, like
does.
it kind of looks bad on the realtor if they're like, hey, like I can't really sell your house unless you spend 10K to paint it.
Right. Yeah. So
Terrible
who
referral
would you
partner.
approach? I mean, just other builders, other
Well, if you
investors,
get into
project
builders, now
managers.
you're into you're if you get into builders, now you're into new construction. New construction is the worst. It's terrible.
Second worst. Yeah.
It's incredibly cheap. You're at the mercy of the other trades. You have to wait for your pay, and ultimately you have a boss, which is the GC. So, I'd say forget those two. They're terrible options. It just won't work out and it won't be consistent. You need to go right to the consumer. You need to go right to the homeowner, man.
Yeah.
That's why we're heavy on Facebook. That's why we're heavy on direct mail. And ultimately, the quickest way at very little cost for you would be door knocking to get right to the homeowner. And at the end of the day, man, you could strike gold. All it takes is a $10,000 job for you to take whatever you make on that and throw it into some sort of marketing campaign.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, I mean, when I was seeing the other company, they did one and then three right in a row, on there because a lot of people trust their neighbors, and once they, have it, and that is the target market, obviously, as you know, there's is higher end homes and you know those type of neighborhoods there. I did have another question. You always say about the color consultation. Have you ever taken like Sherwin-Williams up on their free color consultation they do, or is it not
I
worth
think
it?
they
Should
do
I?
it anymore. I think they only do it
No,
virtual.
they do here. Well, yeah, yeah, in virtual one, but no, not a virtual. Just try to find some designer that would go.
Yeah, dude. Like it would be. I mean, Sherwin-Williams used to do it, and it was pretty good when they did, but they
Yeah,
don't
you
do
used to
it
have
now.
to pay
So
for it. I used it
yeah,
back.
but I would find, dude. There's so many designers out there that would love to make $100 to go help somebody pick colors.
Yeah, and then possibly get other work even from there if they're doing,
Yeah, possibly
more.
more design work, and the right person will jump at that opportunity.
Yeah, and I guess the other question, is just job costing and what to bid jobs. I know what I want to pay for them, but I think even for construction and with just anything these days, I mean, I get sticker shock that I've been doing this so millions and millions of dollars of renovations. It's just I think that's probably everyone's question is how do you figure out exactly how long it's going to take?
Yeah,
Obviously, experience, but I mean that's a dumb
sure.
question, I guess. But
Not
you know
really.
what
I
I'm
mean,
getting at,
it's not as cut and dry, dude. It is experience. It is looking at a
right?
house and saying, man, like, it starts off that way. It starts off with like, okay, it starts off with you, right? Like, how long would it take me to paint a room, right? That's is a great benchmark if you've done any painting. And you'd
Yeah.
say, okay, I'm going to give myself 8 hours to paint the ceiling, the walls, the trim, and the 3 doors in this bedroom, right? Just giving you an example, okay? Now, if you add another person into the mix and it were two of you, how fast would you get it done? Generally speaking, it would cut the time in half. 4 hours for you, 4 hours for him, right? Now, if you had a third person in there, you guys are busting out a room in 2.5 hours, right? So, this is the concept of obviously adding in more help, obviously decreases the time per unit and, of course, increases the cost. So, there's two ways to go about estimating, dude. Like, the first way is for you to pretty much identify how many days you're going to put on the job, right? This is the easiest way. You can look at a house and you can say, okay, I'm going to give my team 5 days to get this done, right? So let's say you have 3 painters and they're getting $20 an hour. That's 800 a week. Times that by 3. That's $2,400. Okay. Or 8, 16, 24. Okay. So that's $2,400 in labor costs. You follow me so far?
Yeah, I do.
Right. So you have 3 painters. You give them 5 days to do it. There's $2,400 in labor costs, right? You're not painting. You're just facilitating. Now let's imagine the paint. We're looking at a 2,000 square foot house. Paint's the easiest to figure out because, you can always go up a little bit. So let's say 10 for the ceilings, 10 for the walls, 3 for the trim, right? So that's 23 gallons of paint. If you're getting paint for $50 a gallon, let's just say $1,000. So now your cost right there for that project is $3,400. Okay.
Right.
Follow me?
Yep.
All right. You want to be at about a 40 to 50% margin on paint projects, right? You want to be able to, every dollar you put in, you want to make 50 cents, right?
Yeah. So
So
multiply it.
multiply it by 2, right? So if our cost all in is $3,400, you price it at $6,800. Now here's my methodology. My methodology is if you don't have any work, it's better to keep your team busy than to make money because more work's coming. And the most important thing is making sure your teammates don't leave or they don't lack trust when it comes to you being able to provide for their families. Okay. And this includes subcontractors too, dude. Like at the end of the day, man, like, let's say you're at 6,800, you're going to use your car sales negotiation skills that you've built. And you're going to say, listen, here's the deal. I have the ability to go down to 5,900 if you allow me to earn your business today. And yeah, you're going to make less money. You make some money, but the most important thing is your team's busy and they have 5 days worth of work. Now this might sound kind of, out of context here, but bro, when I'm selling paint jobs, I am so much more confident when my schedule's full than I am when my schedule's not full.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
So you exude a certain level of energy when your team's busy. So remember that. Like, so at the end of the day, what I just went over with you is what I call profit-based pricing. It's essentially how many days, how many guys, how much paint, how much you're going to make. Easy. Now, that's not a sustainable model. That is like to get you started to where you're not overthinking pricing too much. Production rate estimating is essentially what you should be doing. And that is taking a bedroom, putting in the elements of the bedroom, walls, ceiling, trim, and doors, and having time assigned to each element of the project. So it's proportional as the project gets bigger. That's going to get you in trouble, that cost-based pricing. There's going to be times where you try to do that and the customer goes, hey, I want to take off the ceiling. Then what do you do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, man, like production rate estimating, that's DripJobs. DripJobs has that feature built in. And then we have job costing, which is the other side of estimating, which helps you audit it.
And does that have like a set rate to start with, or is it something that we would put in what our, job costing would be per ceiling? So it's more of like a time as opposed to like a square footage, correct?
Correct. Well, everything's based off of time. Even the example I gave you, it's based off of time.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, but not
right. Essentially, it's just like a ballpark. It really is. Like if you look at a house, say 5 days, well, we're hoping that it's 5 days. When you do production rates, you're saying, okay, my spread rate on a wall is X amount of time. If I have 1,000 square feet of wall, all I have to do is multiply that by the spread rate, and I'm pretty accurate in terms of how much time. So to give you some more context on that, does it have pre-built rates? It does, but everyone's rates are different, right? Because everyone has different costs. Everyone has faster or slower painters. So it's wise for you to drill in. We have a coach that we work with that helps set up these rates for your company, helps you estimate, train you on it. So there's some resources there, but it's not too difficult to figure out, man. It's just kind of trial and error, really.
No, I got it. And then job costing in reverse once the job's done, seeing how long it took, exactly what the materials were, and then nailing down.
Yeah. Build that habit early for sure. Job costing is going to really open up your eyes.
Yeah. And coaching, I mean, is something too. I mean, once I get rid of this ball and chain, I mean, it's just been like years and hundreds of thousands over budget, but to invest in and understand it. And I've hired them for my real estate company. Some I've spent 10, 15 grand and they were awesome. Some I've spent that and they were duds and didn't work. And I think that goes in any, but I totally understand that it's something that's worth hiring, just even for the accountability aspect of it, someone to just work with, make goals, plans, and hold you accountable. So, and I'm sure you have some recommendations or something as well. I saw on your your website there, some of the people you work with, but there's a big spread. You could spend 20 grand, or there's guys for 5 or 6. It's just hard to tell what the best route is. I guess just goes with the feel and who it is there. But another question I had too was, I know you said it's big to always touch base with the customer. So if somebody does fill out a form on your website, or that DripJobs obviously sends a text message, would you call them right after, just touch base and just introduce yourself before you set an appointment?
If I
Or
were
would you
you, I
just let
would.
that?
I
Yeah,
mean, if I were you, I would. And there's no reputation, there's no reviews. You need to really drill in and win over as many people as you can early on. I mean,
build rapport.
yeah, build rapport, just, introduce yourself, just go all out in serving people. You're selling an emotional product. So, you can really tap into emotions, build trust, and people will pay more for that in this industry. Sure.
No, and I appreciate that, and makes sense. The trainings that I've listened to, how you're saying, like, it is basically the emotional aspect of why
Absolutely.
someone's getting it painted. It's not always necessarily, oh, they need it painted. I mean, that is, but everyone, if they need it painted, is going to go with the cheapest route. It's how you build the rapport and make yourself, the one they want to go with and pay. And
Dude,
I
I
do have
would
some
go to a
customers.
house and I would bring 9 samples. I would run to the paint store 3 or 4 times and do those color consultations myself early
Yeah,
on to win business. I mean, just showcasing, value and helping people see that I'm going to bat for them. It's really hard for them to deny that level of care.
yeah.
It's hard to lose in this business when you care the most.
Yeah. And like I said, people are going to buy from who they like and trust there. And so I think it is important. And when you have the time at the beginning to spend it with
Yep,
them, and then try to just build the systems and get the systems in place there.
absolutely.
But yeah, man, that was really the questions I had. I think, as I've booked this and then been watching your videos, I think a
Yeah,
lot of them are
appreciate that.
answered there.
So we have a startup do you know about our startup program for DripJobs?
Yeah, I did. So I just filed for my LLC last week. I'm waiting for them to approve it. I've been working on this for a few months, which is one of my biggest pet peeves of other people, is just taking longer to do it. But I'm trying to get this done. I've got
Yeah.
2 kids at 4 years old and 9 that are whatever, a lot going on there. And so I did. I think it was about a month ago or something. Got it back saying I was approved for that. I don't know that I signed it and started that. Does that start once you sign? Because I kind of wanted to wait until I got fully
Yeah, you
ready
could,
and
as
started,
long as
which
you
I am now.
filed it, it's fine, man. Just submit the application for it, and we'll give you the 4 months for free.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to be a student and
Yeah, for sure.
watch and learn
And
everything I
there's a
can.
and
And
inside of DripJobs, we actually have DJ Academy, which has a bunch of trainings in there. So a
awesome.
production rate estimating training, an automations training, a hiring course that I put in there. So ton of value
Yeah.
inside of there as well.
Yeah. I'm excited to get started, and I think it's a great opportunity. I didn't realize it had this great opportunity in
Yeah.
painting until I started. I mean,
Oh yeah.
really, you think
Usually that's
about
the
it, like,
case.
yeah, like you're like, holy crap, man, these guys are making that much. I just watched one of another franchise that's here in Pittsburgh, and it was through the marketing channel, and just the numbers they were saying, and that person's based out of like Florida, not even here. And I'm like, man, I could do better than that. You know what I mean? I'm here. I have, and maybe even use that to my advantage in some of the
For sure.
videos with like Tridus and stuff of not trying to knock anyone else. They're being, hey, do you want to work with someone who's been born and raised and is in Pittsburgh and has worked here? And
That's your story, man. I teach that,
yeah,
man. Your story is your leverage.
no, I think it's key. And maybe
And that's
even how
all
I
you
came
got.
about painting, of having the problems, because I've been the customer. I've had the issues. I've ordered a 65-foot articulating boom, which, if you know, that's huge, right? And
Yeah.
like how big it is. And the painter didn't have the money to get it. I had to pay. I was here when it shows up. I call him. I'm like, man, this thing's huge. Where you at? And he's like, what do you mean it's huge? He's like, send it back. I'm like, dude, it came on an 8. Like, where are you? Get here. Like,
No,
why am
dude.
I doing your
You
stuff,
felt
dude?
the
Like,
the craziness.
yeah, like, and this is the painter that I'm paying thousands of dollars that isn't here, doesn't know what he's doing. And I think that's the benefit too, is that the barrier of competition is very, I don't want to say low, but there's not a lot of people doing the way you guys are training and the way it should be done, of looking respectable, customer first. Like you say, I mean, if it's not best for the customer, it shouldn't be sold and done. And I think that having that mindset and giving them a better experience, we've had that in the remodeling. You do a kitchen, even if the best laid plans, if they're, like you said, at your own house, building your house or having it done, something's going to go wrong. You know, your wife is going to get upset. Someone's going to be upset, and to you know, have it be a good experience instead of something like, oh man, these guys are still here. Or, you know, I think that's the biggest
Yeah,
key
man.
to it.
Customer service goes a long way in this industry, man.
Yeah, and you know, I think trying to make the videos and maybe putting a little bit of humor in them as well. Of you know, whether it's like I said, being like, hey, I'm your local guy here. You know, from here, I'll be the one showing up. I'll be the one, you know, petting your dog, kissing your baby, seeing the place. You know, so just trying to add something to
Yeah.
make it seem a little bit different. That you know, and I think watching the videos on Try This through there. I mean, obviously everyone raves about them. It may be a little past my budget today, but like I said, it's just 1 or 2 jobs, and I understand
Definitely.
that you know
You're
you
one
have
to
to
two
put that.
jobs away, man, from getting in the game.
Yeah, yeah, and even you know have a few smaller ones coming up, but it is still again trying to feed the family along the way and get it done.
Right.
It's
Well, come back
I'm
on,
excited,
man.
man.
We do it again in a month or two once you get some more momentum, and I'm happy to assist, man.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, of course. Good luck, Jeff. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man. All right, have a good week, man.
You
Thanks.
too.
See you.
Hey, brother. Hey,